live. So I'll say indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friend. Thank you for joining me again on another conscious evolution. Today's stream topic was inspired by Shannon. Specifically, it was a book by Shannon's daughter, I think, like some sort of motivational, I don't know, maybe like some sort of like journal or bookkeeping or you know timetable. I'm not exactly sure the context, but she sent me these photos, and one of them was, am I going to remember the exact word that came before it? Commitment? Is it commitment? I have to go check now. But essentially, the crux, participate. There we go. Participate. The crux of the meaning, or the quote that was written underneath it, is that the world is run by those that show up. Right? That if you want to live in a world where you actually had a say about how things work, you have to participate, right? You have to give your life essence essentially to make this world what it is. And I honor you, friends, for doing exactly that here right now, right? Because this is, with some mental gymnastics, a world, right, that we're creating here right now. Sure, I live in this world. Sure, I happen to be a person in this world. But you, friends, joining me in this world right now means quite literally that we have created something new. And I appreciate you. Thank you, dear friends, for joining me. I see Joy V first. Blessings to you, Shannon, and Sam and Natalie. Hey, and Simon Thomas. Hey, gorgeous day in South Africa. It is kind of nice. It's not too hot. It's like 28 degrees Celsius. So like I'm like on that line of getting sweaty, but not quite. It is nice. Thank you, Simon, for joining me too, dear friend. Let me show you more of the South African weather. So look at that sun peeking through, fire my laser at me. The trees are starting to become green. Our grass is actually starting to become green a little bit again. Nice. Yeah, summer. While you friends are getting wintered. Some of you friends at least. I don't actually know what the weather is like in the UK. You did mention you're in the UK, right? It was a Mara school agenda book. You see, I knew there was like some context that I was missing. Well, thank you, Shannon, for like adding some context. Lurk, says Natalie. Man, as a kid, those planners were super patronizing, though. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We also had those, right? They had like school logos on them. It was just like a speed run of trying to get you to, you know, school culture, right? In the same way that we're expected to now adopt company culture or whatever. Was an extension of that. Yeah, I'm resonating with you right now, Sam. What's a school agenda book? Let's see if we're going to get a context. There we go. Natalie's telling us a school agenda book is the school agenda is a book the school puts out that has the code of conduct, other school info like rules for us, for example, and how you are punished depending on which rules you break. School info, and then room for each subject's homework assignment summary for each day, like a personal planner. Yeah, exactly. Joy, it's like a weekly planner that you write down your class assignments. It's like yeah, it's like imagine one of those like day by day little books, and then you have like lines, you have like timestamps. You can write your date. You can like we were like kind of like prompted, at least in my school, to write our homework down in that book so you can reference that, so you can make sure you did your homework. That's not how I used it. The way I used it is to put it in my school bag and then never touch it again. Thanks, Nat. Joy, it's like a weekly planner. Love again. Hot in the UK. Hope it cools down for you as well, bro. It is still pretty hot here in South Africa, and I know that it's only going to get worse going from now. Like we have been dealing with some extra spicy load shedding, but I'm hopeful that we're dealing with extra spicy load shedding right now, because hopefully that means by the time it's really hot, like unbearably hot, and you need to have like a fan running, we will have more consistent electricity again. Manifest. I participate. Hopefully, hopefully that helps. What is the intention for today? Participate, show up. I feel like participate is going to be the right one. Bruh, I started so small and I still ended up with too little space. Participate's a big world word, yo. Runes. Yeah, we'll do fehu. For an abundant world. We'll do the dream. No, the gift. A world where we actually want to give people things. We'll do enlightenment. We would like a world. We'd like to participate in a world where people are a little bit more enlightened. We would like to do, godlike energy, attaching to yesterday's stream. And we would like to do the self, right? Realizing that it's going to be in part up to you, Esau. All right, it will be in part up to you to change the world. Is that a Jovan? Sending her blessings as well. I think that's the only new friend for now. I always decorated my agendas with stickers and magazine cutouts, of course. I can imagine that actually made it a little bit more meaningful. Most of us in school had so many empty pages that we could use them for notes and phone numbers and went to school before social media. Shan had the agenda game, right? I was like thinking about that as well. We folded the pages. Yeah, I remember that. Some of our kids did the same thing actually, where you would fold the pages in and in the inside would create this. I like that's like a core memory I've completely forgotten. Thank you, Sam, for bringing me back to that. We folded the pages to make designs over the year, but also never used them except to make the whoosh whoosh noise of the hologram on the front. Love you, as we love you, dear Jovan. I don't know about y'all, but I'm mega looking forward to the time change so that I can participate in these streams more fully. Oh, Jovan, you do more than you know. Just so that you know, we love you. Is that a Zano? We missed you yesterday, friend. Shannon, no, Jovan actually recommended that I dance to a track that you suggested the last time we danced. So yesterday, first track, we danced to a song that you suggested. It's nice having you here, Zano. Sending you blessings, dear friend. How are you doing? It was my favorite thing to do at the start of school year, Natalie. All my favorite bands on there. They looked so cool. Love your shirt and scarf, chef. Thank you. I really do like this combination, right? Like what happens is I have like mismatched shirts to scarf ratio. So I'll wear a shirt. I scroll back on my like timestamps for my streams, and I look at my thumbnail, and then I see, oh, the longest time ago that I wore this shirt, is this shirt now is next in rotation, and then I take the next scarf over, and today this happened to be the combination. And I feel like my pants is also fitting with the whole fit. Thank you, friend. This is a gift from Christian. Was meant for his mom, who sadly passed away from cancer. So I feel like I get to carry that energy with me as well. Bless. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate your lovin's, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up at 6 for straight. Yeah, if you think about it, if you really think about it hard, it's 6 somewhere in the world always. I'm so sorry, JP. I appreciate it though. I'm not going to apologize. I'm going to celebrate you for showing up despite it being 6 in the morning. It really is impressive. I watched you dance too. There it is. Big smiles the whole time. Lovins to you. I'm happy to hear that. 6 a.m. is definitely early. It's 10 a.m. here. Yeah, what a difference. When is that time change happening? Yo, the fact that you friends have that, right? Daylight savings or whatever. Also a foreign idea to me here in South Africa. Like, we essentially have one time zone in the whole of South Africa. Literally the whole of South Africa. Is that true? I think so. I really do think so. Right? Like, wherever you go, it's the same time in South Africa. And I feel like that is something that is kind of like undervalued. The fact that you friends have what, 4 different time zones in America? That's bonkers to me. Like the thing that trips me out the most is like the schooling thing, right? Like unironically, there are kids at school while some kids are still sleeping, from the previous night. Lisa, namaste to you, dear friend. Thank you for joining us too. Seems a little late in the year. Gray Fox Day is time change. I know, right? Yeah. Like for me, it's like the business aspect of it, right? Like you might still be working. It might still be what, 1 p.m. for you. Other people are already clocking out, on other sides of your country. Maybe you're working, for the same company, but you find yourself in a different branch in a different time zone, having to juggle those kind of balls. I don't think it's possible for us to have like a singular time zone technically, right? I've thought about this actually. Like I've thought about staggered time zones where people go to sleep at different times. I was like thinking about it from the perspective of like energy, right? Like one of the things that ends up happening is there is a mismatch in energy distribution throughout the day where there's more energy being produced, for instance, during the peak of daylight because of all of the solar arrays we have installed right now. And now we don't actually get to utilize all of that energy. And I was just thinking to myself, like, is there a way? And I felt like it's like super dystopian. So I'm not saying we should do this. I was just like kind of like creatively imagining, if it's possible. And I was imagining to myself, weird problems arising of like, oh no, I can't come and hang out with you. That's during my sleep hours or whatever. You friends show up despite daylight savings, and I appreciate that. A beep. We have a beep here. Shell is here though, sending you blessings. It's nice having you. Good day to you, lovelies. Thank you, Jovan, for saying hi to our friends. My BFF always notes Gray Fox Day. I don't know that one actually. Remember the 5th of November. Also don't know that one. I feel like it feels familiar, but I don't know what it's supposed to mean. Lolo, joining us too. Thank you for showing up, dear friend. That's today's whole thing, right? It's almost like we've been talking about showing up excessively in this stream. Oh man, I'm seeing something so cutesy. Look at that. Isn't that so wholesome? I love you so much, I'll literally clean you with my tongue. And Shelby is like, yeah, I'm so loved. I'm so loved right now. I'll loving you too. Oh man, so blessed. Melt streams, boating online. You have tuned officially into the Matrix, the Meltmore Matrix. Welcome, Brother Dan, to true reality, bro. Oh, I feel like I'm instantly making myself cringe. It's a blessing having you here, dude. Again, today's stream topic is about how the world is ruled, run by those who show up, and you friends have been such beautiful examples of that power, of the ability to change the world, literally morph reality around you just by your presence. Talking about reality morphing presences, we have Joe Schmo joining us too. Blessings, Brother Bear. I had so many 34 sightings yesterday. Love yous. Every single time, opportunity to connect, right? What time is it there? It's daytime. In a while, it'll be nighttime. It is almost 4:20. Feel like part of me wants to actually hit that time today. I remember like this is kind of like how these streams started, right? A part of the fact that I would only smoke. I started making this dedication to only smoke after 4:20, and I would do that on Arpan, and I would have conversations. Sena is here as well, and I would do that, having conversations with you friends, and it became a thing. Here we are, many days later, still doing the same thing. All right, showing up. Thank you, Sena, for showing up with us, friend. It's nice having you. Meltmore and beautiful friends, sending beautiful positive vibes to you all. Vibes received, doubled, and sent right back to you, dear friend. Thank you for joining us. That's called Allo Grooming. Hello grooming? For some reason, I think it's probably incorrect, but my mind goes to like, yeah, hello grooming. Like hello grooming. Like they're saying hello by grooming each other. I know that there's like an affection, a sign of affection, right? When they groom one another. That's what I know. That's what I was interpreting. And maybe like hello grooming is grooming as a sign of affection, right? Maybe like that's a little language. It is officially 420. So we're going to smoke with the intention of participating in this moment, in our own consciousness. And we are on our way. Shell, blessings again. I missed y'all. How's everybody doing? I'm doing well. I feel like I've been more calm than ever these days, actually, Sena. Like we're dealing with a lot of nonsense. Unfortunately, here in South Africa, there's a bunch of uncertainty. There's like some BRICS things happening. There's, stuff with the war in Ukraine and, our country being accused of selling weapons and then stuff coming out about that. And yet, despite all of this nonsense, like these almost like ways of just like comical, the fuck's happening nonsense, I found myself more calm these days than ever. And it's been relieving, to be honest. Been really nice, actually. Non-sensory abounds, literally, Joy. We have so much non-sensory. Like it's just like this ceaseless moment of like, is this actually happening right now? Are you serious? Like that feeling of like, are you serious? Are you joking right now, or are you serious? And yeah, unfortunately, they're serious. These people that are showing up, they're so serious. They're not joking right now, and we have to like strive, at least in our own minds, in our own, process of showing up, have to try and bring some comical, experience into it. A job application yesterday asked me about my sexual orientation, so I lied and told them I'm bisexual. Weird experience. You lied about being bisexual? Like I'm tripping out about wondering about that question, right? That you have to now show up as a person, but then you showing up as this person for this job, they ask you, who do you like to sleep with? And then usually you know who you like to sleep with, but now in that moment, you have to start juggling what is the better answer to give, right? Like if I tell you I sleep with men, is that bad? If I tell you I sleep only with women, is that good? If I tell you I have no preferences, is that even better? Right? I'm I'm tripping out. You don't have to know. You don't have to know. Why would you want to know that? Right? You show up to work the first day and your coworkers are like, I saw you're a bisexual. So please no. People rubbing their hands, looking at you like, yeah, look at that new bisexual walking into the office. No, please. Oh, please. I know, Joy, it was optimal, but they are definitely not allowed to ask that. Yeah, I was just thinking, right? Like, is that even, okay to ask? Stay strong, mate. Thank you, Simon. I'm feeling pretty strong, right? I feel like that's kind of like where I'm finding some comfort, is that there seems like it's almost like callous, right? I feel like that's maybe the point in which it maybe like takes a step into a potentially wrong direction. It feels like I've calloused, right? Like a part of me has hardened, and not in a bad way, right? Like in a way where I feel like more resistant to the nonsense that used to like get me into like a super bad mood. For instance, like sound. Sound is one of those things that really affect me more than I feel people think appropriate, right? Like if there's loud noises or screeching or like some sort of oscillating sound in my environment, that causes me an extreme amount of anxiety, right? Because it literally feels like something is manipulating my brain so that I don't have enough brain power to do anything else, right? It's like literally for instance, you're hearing a loud sound and then suddenly 60% of your mental resources just gets sliced off from you. And it's like, make it stop, like happening in your head. And even though that's still present, right? Unfortunately, it hasn't gone away What has gone away is my reaction to that feeling, right? My willingness to kind of like lean into the right. So these days, I feel like there's a part of me that's callous to that part of myself. There's a part of me that's callous to worrying about the state of my country. You know, like there's like a bunch of things changing financially, the whole BRIC system. You know, basically our country becoming a part of China, essentially, right? Asking myself how I feel about these things, and where for a long time there was this sense of resistance and fear and worry, I guess, knowing that these changes are inevitable. Now I'm just here for them. I'm like, oh, not this. Oh, okay. New stuff. Cool. Cool. Kristen joining us too. Sending you blessings, drive by lovins, even just a moment. It's nice with you. Thank you, friend, for joining us. Answer cabbages next time. Yes, my sexual orientation is cabbages. What does that mean? What is that? I'm like, my mind obviously is a picture person kind of mind. So saying that your sexual orientation is cabbages adds more confusion, right? Extreme confusion and concern. Right? Like, are we supposed to lock the cabbage up? Are we supposed to keep the cabbage away from that? Breaks is just meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Yeah, Nancy. The thing that gives me a hope for Bricks is just that it might actually usher in a new age of economic prosperity for South Africa, right? Simply with free trade, right? Unfortunately, right now, as it is, our country, South Africa, is one of the highest rated anti government, pro privatization countries, right? In other words, if you do a census and you ask people, who do you trust more? Industry, private companies, or your government? 74% of South Africans say private companies, right? So if we take that to the extreme, and I understand it, and if you had to ask me that question, I would say the same thing. Because if you look at what's working in our country, it's not the government, it is private industry, right? It's people that are trying to make money offering services, and then they offer good enough services so that they can earn money and actually, you know, stay around. So if free trade becomes a thing for South Africa with China, that is going to be pretty substantial because right now we're paying 30% tax on our imported goods, right? So just imagine how much you import day to day, the amount of stuff you have in your home, any piece of technology, essentially. And now you're paying 30% less for up to $1,000, $2,000, $10,000 items. That's a big shift for a lot of South Africans, right? So yeah, new boss, same boss. Maybe more of us will be given the opportunity to actually be a little bit of a boss, right? That's what I'm hoping for the people of the country at least. Laying down for a moment before doing the things. Have a beautiful day, lovelies. Rest well, dear Natalie. Is that Ground Sparkle and Ashley? I think I have said hi, but hi again, dear friend. It's nice having you here too. Same here. I have been feeling calm before the storm. I was learning about detachment from bullshit, from Mary Magdalene teaching. She said to focus on the I in your heart first. The way that I articulate that eye of the heart is the thing behind the thing, right? Like there's this sense of self. You think you are yourself. And then there is the thing that sees the thinking of you thinking you are yourself, right? The unchanged is one of the words that I like using as well. Masculine can be in the polarity perspective, another word for it too, right? The part of you that's unchanged. If you can lean into that part of yourself, no matter what changes, you always have stability, right? Because even though you have seen many things, you have grown up from being a child to being a grown ass person, that part of you that was aware, that was paying attention to this experience, hasn't. It still is. The things you are aware of, the thought patterns you participate within, the way you react to the things that you are aware of, that surely changes. That's a part of the feminine in my mind. But the part of you that sees the I in your heart, right? That oscillating frequency of presence, 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 presence. And again, in my mind at least, presence and focus that you give is an act of love, right? You don't give someone your presence if there is not something for you to love from that experience. Sometimes we might not love the experience, but we love the person enough to give them our presence anyway. So I agree completely. I'm so happy that you're feeling into that space as well, Saina. Have a beautiful day. Morning. So much love is being sent. How could you bring back the lacquer times in South Africa? Do you think the Western Cape will go for independence? Probably, Ron Sparkle. They already want to. And I don't really like bring back the lacquer times is way too close to mega in my mind. I don't think that's the point, right? Unfortunately, even though things were, from a prosperity perspective, from a currency evaluation perspective, from a public services perspective, significantly better in the past year in South Africa, some parts of it wasn't, all right? Like there was a lot of inequality and still to this day, a lot of racism. And I don't want to bring back those times, right? Even if it does mean getting the better stuff alongside it. I would rather have it as we are right now, closer. Like, and that's the joke. Like it's still far away. And unfortunately, I don't really think there is that big of a racism problem in the world anymore. I think the problem we're facing is a class problem these days, right? It's like not about what color your skin is. It's about the fact that there are people who own multiple properties and have billions of dollars either in stock or to their own names. And then there are the rest of us, right? Like that doesn't skin color doesn't matter in that equation. It's a matter of how is the resources that the country generates being distributed, right? And it's happening in South Africa as well, unfortunately. There's a lot of people that are way wealthier. Like our own president, for example, owns an insane amount of land, right? And most of that land is just standing there. It's just valuable for the sake of becoming more valuable, right? It's not being used to serve humanity. It's not being used to serve the country's people. It's just being used as a financial vehicle so that the people that do run the country, the people that do show up for this power, end up benefiting in the long run, right? So yeah, I don't want to bring back the lacquer times. I want to create the lacquer times, right? We're not bringing anything back. The past remains in the past. We have to look to the future now. I mean, if being bisexual is part of the job, then I guess it's okay. That's true. Being bisexual, being a part of your job, that just sounds like some sort of almost like SNL skit where the management wants to sleep with you, right? And it's better for them if you're bisexual because that means they can sleep with you whether you're a woman or a man. That just sounds like such a yikes, right? Like it's so concerning, like the implications of the questions you're asking, right? Is there an option for none of the above on that poll, Melt? I have already moved too far past that fractal, it seems. South Africa has the highest poverty rate next to the USA. Yeah. Like it's the inequality, right? Like there are people in South Africa that are rich beyond wildest dreams. And then there are people that literally live in essentially tin cans, right? Sometimes they'll live a few meters away from one another. It's a little bit absurd. It's confusing. Love this guy. Simon, I am but a person, all right? As you are but a person. And the fact that you see in me something to love means that I am but a reflection to something in you that already is. I appreciate your lovin's. Don't get me wrong. All I'm trying to do is let you know that I am you. Nothing more than you have the same thing that I have. Thank you for showing up in the way that you do, friend. Lovingly, right? With kindness in your heart. Dan, what type of job was it? I'm thinking of very few jobs where that's relevant. Maybe only one. I don't even know if I can think of a job. Maybe, weirdly enough, my mind is going hairdresser. I don't know if that would be a job requirement, but I can see it making sense, right? Like if you're a certain, if you want to like maintain a certain energy, you know what I'm saying, right? In your salon, for example, you might want to hire people from a certain sexual orientation or not, right? Where just being like, I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna close this can of worms and I'm gonna step closely away from it because I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I feel like I was asked a question about my race, my religion, or my orientation while filing out a job application for any program. I would be inclined to answer by saying, none of your business. How about? It's none of your fucking business. You didn't get to know. Uh, I like that. I agree, actually. That applied to be a gigolo. There it is. Yeah, that could also be the other one, right? You know what I mean, though, right? It's inappropriate. Have you ever heard the song Maria Magdalena by Sandra? I don't think I have, actually. We do have a shared playlist that you can add tracks to on my YouTube playlist that I can go and listen to. I'm not apply. I'm not applying to be a gigolo, Joy. I'm applying to be the gigolo, right? Not like a. What do you think of me? I'm just gonna be a. Like one of them. Nah. I'm applying for the role. The tippity toppity, the best of the best. My mind, my mind is trying to formulate the understanding of what that's supposed to mean, right? What does the best gigolo look like? Please, stop. I'm sorry. I can only oh my my imagination. You stop it. You calm down right now. I don't want none of that. Let me move this up a little bit. Yeah, see, the thing is falling over. Is that better? It's not falling over anymore. I don't know if I want to put it on just yet. I don't think it's still too bright out. I am a queen. Better respect. Your respect is given without question, dear Sena. I wish it was that exciting, but it's just a software QA job. Then maybe QA doesn't mean quality assurance after all. Maybe QA stands for quality as. I'm sorry. I'm telling you, job applications fib, y'all. I can code in Python right. Can't be that hard. I do know a little Python. Unfortunately, Dan, and I think you're probably going to realize this as well. And this is not me coming from a place of being harsh. It's more coming from a place of having other programmer friends. And I'm also subscribed, to a bunch of programmer YouTubers or, the subreddits as well. Companies want you to have like 10 years of experience on a software that's only 6 years old kind of vibe, right? Like that's the joke that's facing a lot of programmers right now. So I'm not saying that you won't find work, programming. I feel like there's plenty out there, but you are going to face some ridiculous expectations and realize that you're not lesser, right? For not having these expectations or for not meeting their expectations. You are in the process of showing up so that you can run, right? That is where you are right now. And you have shown us your willingness to, bro. You literally went through a boot camp to learn how to program. That's impressive, man. So all you have to do is keep running, 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 running. Done. Every single kid in my neighborhood codes in Python, so you can pick it up. Yeah, love this guy, love you. My own son isn't interested in coding though, Dan. Yeah, your son is very smart, Shell. Coding isn't bad. It's just involved, right? Like a part of me values being a little bit less in my mind, right? Like I value the mind, I do, but it can be a bit much sometimes. It can be a little bit much. And coding expects you to be all the way inside your mind, right? Your back's hurting? No. Your fingers are feeling stiff? Not important. Your brain feels like it doesn't want to work anymore? I don't care. your eyes are dry and you're sleep deprived, doesn't matter. You have deadlines. You need to be geprogrammeerder now. You must programmeer meer. More programming. And yeah, even though I was also, like getting into code when I was a teenager, and I learned real quick, this will drive me insane, right? Like it was pushing buttons inside of my brain that I didn't want pushed. It was like changing, and weirdly enough, some programmers actually think of this as a benefit of learning how to program. It and it already has, unfortunately. It changes the way you see the world as well, right? You start thinking in code. You start using like code logic chains in your own brain. And even though that can be valuable, it can also be very dangerous from the perspective of lack of sympathy or lack of care for humanity. You become very calculated and cold, if you will, or at least I did, because I tend to really morph into whatever information I expose myself to. And I like code still. I still would like to code. I'm probably still going to write software. I probably just will be one interface away from the software, right? Because if I get too inside the finangles, I'm gonna get insane. That's why I believe your son is smart enough to know that it's not for everybody, right? It can be for you. It can be fun. We have friends here that program. I don't know if Kristen is still here. She programs as well. Both Johan and Christian are programmers. David, I don't know if he was in stream. Another friend, Heinrich, another one of my high school friend. All of them are programming. And they enjoy it and they're making good cash. So much money. You can make so much money doing that. But yeah, I unfortunately, I think I would have done a lot better if I valued money just a little bit more, if I found any importance. I find satisfaction in money, right? But no importance whatsoever. In the same way, you might find satisfaction in eating a candy bar, but there's no importance, right? You're not feeling like this is important, me eating this candy. Yeah, so important. No, unfortunately not. Maybe to someone, but yeah, importance I feel has more weight within the currency that is this experience we're having right now. And this what we're doing right now is one of like the most juiciest of importances that I feel in this world. Being able to connect with you friends, being able to show up, right? Like that's it. It's just being able to show up in this moment with you friends. Thank you for adding importance simply by being here, offering your presence. Mel, I was thinking about prawn, not hairdressing. Yeah, prawn probably would have that as a application form, valuable piece of information to know kind of vibe, and for casting roles essentially. I'm guessing. I know exactly what you mean about the oscillating noise thing, Melt. One time there was a squeaky car idling on the other side of this massive park. We're having a group chat at and it took all of my power too. It's brutal, right, like a part of me, like that's in part why I am kind of into transhumanism. And I know that sounds scary, but essentially what it means is that I subscribe to the philosophy that we can improve our human capabilities with technology, right? And if you're like, whoa, Mel, you're already doing it. You're already doing it. This device you have in your hand right now, or it's standing on a table, that makes you a transhuman because you can do things that an ordinary human being cannot, right? Through technology. That's what it means, at least in my mind. So technically, and you don't even have to go invasive. You can do it in the outside of your brain as well. We already have something called noise canceling earphones. And what that does is it has a microphone. You can even have a microphone inside your ear canal. Picks up any external noises, right? And if like an oscillating sound, like a plane's humming or an engine, gara 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 gara, it makes that waveform, right? And then inside your ear, that little speaker literally inverts that sound wave, and then it cancels out, and then you hear nothing, right? That's so cool. That's so cool that we find ourselves in a time in history where that's something that we can do. And to some people, and I feel like you friends here, sounds can be so kind of distracting, even though I do value the fact that I can feel that oscillation and not let myself get into that loop, let it zap too much of my power, I still would like to, by choice, just go like, no, stop. And then silence inside my head. That would be really nice. Yeah, that's my thought, Shell. I know JavaScript and Python is very similar. I can get myself up to speed if I were to land an interview. Bless. Melt, I was thinking again, love again. Not walk over and jump on the hood yelling, stop, please. Yeah. She was saying like she had to use all her power not to do that. Like that's where my mind goes as well. Where it's like an outcry, partly in rage, right? Like there is like a certain level of low hum rage that's happening inside of yourself as well, where you're like I am here begging you to stop, but actually there is an undertone of me threatening you with extreme consequences if you don't. Of course, this is me joking. That's like the feeling that arises inside of you, and that's the feeling that I've been succeeding at fighting. With the right prompts on generative AI. Oh yes, Nancy. Oh yes, yes. It's already doing that right now. Right. The way I think of it is, in about 2 years, there's going to be user interfaces that allows you to basically build in an interface that allows you to build interfaces. Right. That I am very patient because I only get smarter the more information I expose myself to, right? And if it takes 2 more years for the technology to mature to the point where I can access it a little bit more seamlessly, I'm going to spend the next 2 years 2 years learning about other things, right? Doing what I can do with what I have so that I can do what I must then. I think Bethany is here right now, sending you love and dear friend. Prawn is acting. No one shrieks like that for real unless they're actually getting ripped. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, please. Whenever I am asked about my age, race, and sexuality, I don't subscribe to that bullshit or labels. Yeah, unfortunately, people are scared of other people, right? And getting to be like, oh, you are this, gives them a sense of comfort, right? And now we find ourselves in a society where it happens to be reversed again, right? Where now we find ourselves so far on the other side, where you have to confirm to me who I am so that I can feel a sense of comfort. Right? You see what I'm seeing right now? It went from, oh, I'm gonna label you so I can find comfort in knowing what you are. And now, in some places at least, and I'm not against it, I'm just witnessing. Now there's like rules about how you're supposed to address me so that I can find comfort in being labeled in one way or another. Right? It is absurd. That's why I use friend as a label, right? Because friend, and I add to that context as well. A friend, when I use that word, what it means to me is someone I want to walk side by side with, realizing that we're all going in the same direction. A friend is someone I want to walk side by side with because we're all gonna go there, wherever there is, right? But I only have so much space, and I can bring friends alongside me that I want to walk side by side with. So yeah, that includes all race, all gender, all sexual orientation. We are heading in the same direction. No matter what you choose to show up as, just show up, right? Walk the walk, if you will. That's the only real requirement. Melt, what does the best gigolo look like? You've seen me on Discord. uh, the listening, this listing, I'm telling a fib on, has entry level in the listing. So I figure I can crash course Python if you give me an interview. Might just crash course Python anyway. Exactly, bro. That's where my mind's going as well. Like, do it anyway, right? Get your hours, get those labels, right? That's literally like we were like just talking about that. That's what you're gonna have to do because that's what they're looking for. In the same way that people label one another in the real world, in the business world, it's almost like become this absurd, you know, play of like, oh, look at all of these labels. This is me. Me got 2 years Python experience. Me got 1 year Java experience. I'm an escape. Labels. You have to label yourself so that they can, on a glance, be like, yeah, this I like these labels. I want these labels on my business. What a person that can code this thing. Yes, good. More labels, please. Oh, okay. Managing other people's expectations is rough. Impossible sometimes, even. Managing your own. Managing your own is a whole experience in and of itself. I list all my languages, even if I'm not fluent. So should you. There we go. Shell throwing, again, the labels, right? They're like, ooh, nice labels. And I got there. Even if the labels don't mean anything, right? The labels still mean something to them. Well, if the right prompts can generative AI do coding, it already is doing. Like, I think something like 60% of the code is being generated in the world is generative code right now. It's kind of absurd. Right now, you still have to know what you're doing, right? You have to be able to read code and understand how your code is going to integrate with this piece of code you just generated. So there's still, at this point, a lot of user discretion, user influence, interference, filtering, I think, and I think that's good. And I feel like that's why programmers are going to be necessary no matter how good the tech gets. But I do not want to get into that fractal, at least not right now, right? Like my mind is too scattered to add that layer of, like, I'm seeing two vectors, right? Like the natural iterative vector, and then I'm seeing the code vector that asks me to operate in straight lines, right? And I'm like, oh hell no, oh, not right now, please. Maybe later if I need that straightness, but right now I need to be in the curves, as Brother Brandon would like to say. I know. Fluffing things up for the tip, though. Helps to hear from folks in the industry, exactly. I know we're all equal and we can achieve the same things, but I don't think I'd ever be able to pull an outfit like that one, Melty. You are on some advanced wardrobe level. That amazes me. I take that. I'll take that as a compliment, bro. That's nice of you to say. People do have that reaction to the clothing I choose to wear. I don't really think of it as that extravagant, right? Like it's technically a t-shirt and pants. Technically that's what it is, right? And then a scarf to add. I started wearing scarves because one was gifted to me at a music festival and it felt instantly right, right? During that music festival, it was super hot as well. It was in November. And South Africa gets warm though. And if you were dancing on top of that, it feels like you're on fire. And I could wet the scarf and it felt like I was like wearing essentially a mini air conditioner, right? Like suddenly air or heat essentially is being zapped away from my body. And I was like, this feels right. And then I got more. And now I have like 13. I have never bought myself a scarf. All of them have been gifts. So I get to wear them as gifts, as like literal fractals of other people's love, reminders that love is true essentially. So I feel, yeah, the outfits are you friends essentially, right? I'm wearing the world. Yeah, I'm like, oh wow, maybe there is some sort of, what did you say? Advanced wardrobe level magic's happening. Yeah, all right. Starts patting himself on the back. Let's participate. You friends are literally participating in dressing me, so thank you. Mom made me these pairs of pants, so like I can't take any credit. That's what I'm saying, right? This shirt was also made by a different person. I don't know this person, unfortunately, because it was bought at the store, but a person surely made it. I am dressed by the world. The world showed up, and now I'm dressed. Let's see. I have to like cast a shadow on my tablet screen to actually see your friends' comments. So that's why I've been like sideways reading and stuff. Lurking today, we love you. Either way. Thank you, Bethany. It's insane what they're doing with AI. It's not gonna get any less insane on B. Definitely not. The insanity is only just beginning. And we have had AI for a long time, long time. We just never had the processing power. And now we are essentially producing more processing power every week than we've had for decades before, right? That's where we find ourselves right now. And that's an exponential curve. We are in the knee of the exponential curve. That's why things seem to be quite rapid and accelerating. And it's only going to get more extreme, right? We're going to have to learn how to be in that level of change. ChatGPT can help anyone code, literally. Am I a transhuman now that I have a bionic knee? 100%. Hey Google, hey Google, define transhuman. Transhumanism, the belief or theory that the human race can evolve beyond its current physical and mental limitations, especially by the means of science and technology. Right? You had a bad knee. Your biology, your human body, was no longer serving the act of mobility, you being able to move. So you went beyond that current physical limitation by getting an augmentation, and now you can move your body again, right? And some people might think of that as wrong or as playing God. That's going to be the popular line that people are going to keep using. But I believe you already are, right? And if God gives you access to technology to make sure you improve your own quality of life, you would be a silly God to not accept, right? Oh, no, thank you. This bad knee I have, I'll keep it. It hurts every day and I can barely walk. But God intended to me to suffer. No, He didn't. No, He didn't, right? Or she, technically. I believe she didn't intend for you to suffer. She makes mistakes sometimes, as change does, right? Sometimes things change for the better, sometimes things change for the worse. And unfortunately, our bodies are subject to that change as well. But we are actively fighting entropy. And that is a part of transhumanism as well. The fight against entropy. The cat update. Did Melt get a lion? I am the lion, Joy. I'm not even joking, right? I do feel like my animal form would be the lion if I could turn into an animal. A lion with the power of a great bull and the gentleness of a butterfly. That's my spirit form, my shamanic spirit form, 100%. And one day I'm going to be able to visualize that, right? There's going to be a version of me that looks like that. It's going to sound like me. It's going to say the things I would say. It might not be me though. Maybe at first it will be, but eventually it'll become its own thing. I'm tripping myself out. Oh goodness, stop. It's put down the line fractal. Exactly, some people love to point fingers and point blame when actually helping and accepting people than actually helping and accepting people. Helping and accepting people isn't profitable, right? You can't make that much money doing that. You can, however, make a lot of money convincing people that there's something wrong with them. And in order to fix it, they have to spend this money, right? Oh, you want to become enlightened? You have to pay me $500 so that you can take my course to become enlightened. Yeah, you can't get it. You can't get it without the $500 course. You have to. No. No, there's no such thing as enlightenment, right? In my mind, what enlightenment means is you realizing that there is no separation between you and source, right? That you realize that you are light emanating from light, like a photon as a waveform emanating from the sun. It's the realization that that photon is a part of that system, right? That's what enlightenment means, at least to me. And it doesn't change anything, right? Doesn't change, right? Oh, now I know I am one with everything. Now I have to chop wood, carry water, right? I have to show up anyway. And I feel like that's where people kind of like miss the pot with what enlightenment's supposed to mean. There's nothing to gain. You're not going to get anything. Technically, you might actually end up losing something. Right? That's where the whole Meltmore comes from as well. You'll lose everything over and over and over again. And yet the part of you that witnesses, the part of you that remains unchanged, remains unchanged. In fact, you might actually just remember a little bit better that version of yourself by losing everything. And losing everything means a bunch of different things to a lot of us. I feel like where my mind's going right now is injury, weirdly enough. I'm resonating with Loizana. Injury can make you feel like you lose everything, right? Because you spend this like lifetime essentially being potentially able-bodied, being able to do what you want to, move how you want to. And then with one injury, maybe you fall, maybe you hurt your back somehow, maybe your knee gives out, maybe you're in a car accident. It can feel like losing all of that. Like, and I can't even imagine. And the way that I'm trying to almost like, I don't know, prepare myself is the right word, but remind myself is just the unchanged nature behind, right? That part of you can't lose anything. You can melt layers of self away, your smell, your sight, your hearing, your ability to move throughout this life. That part of you remains right there, unchanged. Showing up as that version of yourself is hard. And it expects you to be masculine, right? It expects you to be cold sometimes. It expects you to do the thing even if you don't feel like it. And like I'm battling with how I'm supposed to feel about that right now. Because a part of the masculine part of me is like, yeah, good. And then the feminine part of me is like, bro, like there's there's things that happen to people that they need a break from. Again, as so often in the stream, my mind comes just back to the word balance. Find balance in how you show up as well. But there are other people willing to help you run the world. Yes, the world is run by those who show up, but you don't have to show up alone. You don't have to try to run the world alone either. Maybe that's the lesson I'm supposed to take away. The idea of labeling someone as this or as that feels like a very fundamental disconnect that I try to avoid in my own internal dialogue. I'm trying to unsee the titles that people use. Weirdly enough, Joe, like I don't know if that's what you mean, but that's the way I'm resonating in this moment. A part of me gets angry now at this point in my life when people self-label, right? Because of that same want, right? To look beyond the label and actually see the person that's standing in front of me. Where some people will like introduce themselves on video, and this is probably like a part of my bias as well, but they'll introduce themselves on video and then start with like, yeah, me, sexual orientation, or me, job title, or me, like spouse or something like that. And I'm like, it puts me in a state of mind where I want to see you as more, right? I want to see you as more. Why don't you, right? Why do you choose such a limiting label for yourself when you're so much more than just that? And again, a part of me feels a sense of sympathy that there might be this lack, if you will, of importance in a lot of our lives, right? Again, money can bring satisfaction. You can feel satisfied having a lot of money, but you're not going to feel importance, right? Unless it's ego created. And that's technically where a lot of importance lies. And a lot of our egos have been decimated, right? Like, put in the scared side of your own egoic self, the part of you that is anxiously grasping at trying to get a one up, right? Oh, yes, I'm tripping myself out right now. again, with lack of importance, lack of purpose in our lives, not knowing what we're showing up for, it makes it easy to start labeling ourselves, to think that that's what we are. It's easier than finding what you're supposed to show up for, more often than not. And sometimes, and these days especially, there are so many distractions that showing up for something is probably harder than it's ever been. Like, actually think about that, right? Showing up for your hobby, for your passion, for your hopes and dreams is now probably, right? When you look at the sheer amount of things to do and the level of distraction is now harder than it's ever been. A part of me also wants to counter that point instantaneously, the hopeful part of myself, that there are more technological opportunities for you to follow your dreams now than there's ever been, right? So we find ourselves in a juxtaposition between those two parts of ourselves where you have the freedom to not show up. And in fact, not showing up will feel better, more satisfying than ever before. But you also have the power to generate more importance than any other human being has before you, right? Like just think about the level of information exchange and crystallization. That's where my mind goes instantly. The amount of information crystallization that's happening because of the internet right now. Like I try to imagine if Da Vinci, for example, was a live streamer, right? Day by day, Da Vinci is just like talking about his, new theories for new gadgets and his new idea for this type of, technology or like just, and that's what he's doing day by day. And we get to kind of like see this process unfold and consciously evolve alongside this person. I think it would be so magical. And that's why I encourage you, friends, right? Like, try it. You don't have to live stream for long. You can do it for 5 minutes. Even 5 minutes of crystallization of this is who I am right now in this moment, right? And even if you do it once a week, you can look back 10 years from now and see who you were then, right? Use that as an inference point to now evolve, project that same amount of time that you're going back in imagination into the future, right? It gives you a frame of reference with how you have shown up and now how knowing how you've shown up, seeing how you've shown up since then, how you want to keep showing up going forward. Running the world, right? The joke, and I haven't actually said this out loud just yet in stream. The world that you're running is yourself, right? Your world running on your legs. Where your legs run, there goes your world. Yeah, it's yourself that you're trying to run by showing up. And Din does that. Does have a super wise vibe. She really is. I think I missed a few comments. I did. Oh goodness. Do glasses / contacts make us transhumans? What about cell phones and digital communication? Yeah, 100%. Right? The fact that you can put lenses inside of your eye, so well made, and then you can see better. That's such a freaking cool trip. I'm happy to be separate enough for reparations. I want my 40 acres and the mule. The thing is, Joy Vive, and this is where my mind goes with these kind of questions, is that's not the right way to do it, right? Because then we're just going to find ourselves in the exact same fractal that we are right now, where people are separated, and unable to make any meaningful change, right? Because it's hard to show up and rule the world. Surprise, surprise, right? And if you try to do that alone, right? Oh, yeah, this is my world. This 40 acres of land. This is what I am going to show up for, and I'm going to rule this world. Maybe in like the 60 years that you live there, you can make it more beautiful. You can plant new trees. You can have a nice vegetable garden, but you're not going to make any societal change, right? Where if there's a community living on said 40 acres of land, working together to build something, now suddenly 60 years is a dramatic transformation, right? So I feel like maybe that's where we should hold our minds. It's not in, yeah, mine, what I deserve, I want. No, because that never stops, right? Unfortunately, even once you get the 40 acres of land, you're gonna now want new things. Now I want nicer house, maybe. Now I want better plumbing. Now I want better air conditioning. Now I want better energy. Then I want what? Wait, maybe, right? What it is we're seeking is importance. And there's more importance to be found in doing things together as a community than there will ever be in adding more material wealth onto our own experience. Because this it's incremental improvements, right? You can incrementally improve your own comfort in this moment by doing one thing or another, but you can exponentially improve the comfort of another human being by actually helping them. And I feel like that's where, again, the value proposition lies, at least in my mind, where the point is not profit, the point is importance. All right, that's what we're looking for. Everything else, hard to explain, but I can feel like the identifying yourself as a specific type of anything is the first step in separating yourself from everything else. That's a good take, dude. I'm happy to be separate. Love again to you, Joy Vive. You don't want 40 acres of land. Believe you me. It's like, oh yeah, Mel, 40 acres of land is worth so much money. I do want. Yeah, again, abstraction. And then what does money give? Satisfaction. And you can satisfy yourself into oblivion. You can. You can satisfy over and over again. Right? But you're not getting anything. You're spending. You're only spending. Oh goodness. I'm watching my own behavior, right? Like I'm talking to myself as well, very much so. I'm like, hey, oh, hey, pay attention. I'm wondering if hallucinogenics being transhuman. I mean, it's not technically human technology, but it is technology. So yeah, I think it checks out. I think it checks out 100%, right? Because it is you going beyond mental limitations again. I don't know, technically, weirdly enough, I do actually have the capacity to go beyond certain physical limitations when I'm in the hallucinogenic, or I don't actually like the word hallucinogenic because that's not technically what they do, right? Psychedelic, I prefer, because psychedelic is derived from Greek and Latin, I believe, and it's supposed to mean mind manifest, right? So I'm taking something that helps my mind manifest. And then in that mind manifested space, I find that I'm more capable of like getting into certain stretches, for example, right? Parts of my body that's almost like locked off mentally, like, oh, I'm doing this thing. And all of these previous times, like this amount of space is unreachable for me, right? I can't, like, to give you a rough example, there's a pose called the downward facing dog, where you put yourself in like a shape like that, right? Feet down, hands down. And in that pose, sometimes you'll find that your pads of your foot are up and your heel is kind of like that far away from the ground. And then you'll find in yourself, right, pushing your edge, that suddenly now your heels can be down on the ground. And you'll see it fluctuate throughout your days, right? And I can feel like you're losing progress sometimes in that space as well. And noticing how being in that mind manifested moment, you almost know where you are and you can find that space within yourself much quicker. And then you can push on it if you want to. And then taking that, like the physical abstraction, to your mind as well, you find yourself knowing in your own little, world, your own little self-created fractal, how you label things. And you can see these gaps in your own reasoning, in your own logic, in your own willingness to keep yourself blind to certain things, to be biased towards yourself. That's, you need to, because you are trying to survive essentially. And then you can close those gaps as well, right? Mentally. And even though it can be difficult, painful, right? Both physically to close that gap and mentally, it more than often is rewarding, important, right? Not always satisfying, sometimes satisfying. Sometimes satisfying, like, unfortunately, there's like a certain level of pain. The satisfaction comes from release, right? After you're willing to let go, you're like, okay, I've pushed myself, I felt these things. Now it's time to let it go. And then there the satisfaction comes from. But there's a certain level of importance that we feel in putting ourselves through those painful moments. Oh, I feel like you friends are putting me in a state of flow. I hope that it's working for you as well. Shanners, I think of you when I see owls for some reason. I think it's because I see you as observant and calculated and wise. So beautiful. Thank you, Joe, for echoing so much love. I agree. Shan does have super wise vibes. Joy Vive echoing. Calm down, breathe melt. I'm feeling it as well, Simon. I'm here for it. It is what it is. Sometimes I get myself riled up. Weirdly enough, on that fractal, today I was thinking about eventually adding like a smartwatch to the stream. And then you friends can literally live watch my heartbeat as I start tripping myself out, where my brain is like, and I was like, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's reel it back a little bit. Come and sit down here. We'll be able to see my heart rate go up and down. Same with the dancing. Melt, you get it. You friends are getting it with me, right? All of us consciously evolving together, collecting our own fractals, finding some balance. Joe, it's so funny you say this. I've had a lot of really random owl sightings lately, more synchronicity, but you're so sweet and kind. I'm pretty observant. That quite awkward giant person in the back of the room. Like I see quiet giant, and awkward person in the back of the room, and then at the same time I see clearly the person standing there, right? Just paying attention, a big giddy smile on their face. I get you, Meltmore. Cool. I know you do. Ground. Blessings to you, friend. Thank you for resonating with me. You're just used to anti label and being boxed in. Things change and people feel differently. So we're in a time where people want to be labeled, perhaps because who they identify as previously had no name, and now it does. I saw this piece of slam poetry by, I am probably assuming, but they did make it pretty clear throughout their poem that they're both lesbians, right? And there was this line at the end of the poem where they were talking about what they were taught. They were not taught how to accept things, but they were taught what to hate. And how the thing that they were taught what to hate, like they were taught what to hate, and how the thing they were taught what to hate is basically themselves, right? And like when I heard that, I was like, shit, that is so brutal. And I felt that in myself as well. So I get what you're saying as well. Thank you, Joy V, for giving a voice to that side of it. Just dropped my daughter off at preschool for the first time. I have so many feels and emotions. I'm so not ready to share her with the world. It has to happen, brother Duck Dad. I think she's going to grow. It's 17, and my battery percentage is on 71% right now. I think a friend just joined as well. So I don't know if that's a good sign. Hey, Google, what is the significance of 1717? Oh my goodness, bro. Oh, Duck Dad, we're all gonna get melted right now. So Duck Dad says to me, he just uh my mind is going to the word deliver. He just delivered Melanie to the school. Why is my mind going to deliver? Drops her off at kindergarten, right? And he doesn't want to have her going out into the world. 1717 means it's time to be independent. What a trip. The angels are telling you to begin forging your own path and to put yourself first for once. While it's always good to help and lead others, including your daughter, the number 1717 is a sign telling you to be a leader for yourself and to prioritize your dreams and goals. There we go, brother Duck Dad. That's your message, bro. It's like, yeah, Melanie has to learn independence in her own little world to go out there. And now, her being at kindergarten, that means you have now a new space of time in which you don't have that as a priority or as a requirement, right? So you get to be independent in your own world as well. Having a nice place where I belong and bring value to my community, where I excel, is how I think of it. I enjoy my title as storyteller and bard. It provides realistic expectations to others. And Sam, if you aren't a great one, like Sam is so witty, gets you on your seat. Thank you, Sam, for being a part of this community. Like the thing that I wanna echo as well is never mind you're excelling in this community, the value you bring, but just the genuine sense of comfort. And like a goofy smile is where my mind goes. You really do add more than you know. Thank you for being a part of this space. She's never out of the nest, Joy, just going out for world visits. Yeah, officially, right? Being in RPG mode. All right, role playing game. Now suddenly your choices have consequences, and there's no parents around you to stand in the way for you. It's gonna be good for her, Doc. It's some world experience, man. My mom couldn't handle it, Doc. My mom got a job at our school because she didn't trust them not to fuck up all her hard work. She's like, bruh, I've been trying so hard with this kid. Those devils, those children out there is going to ruin my poor sweet child. And I don't blame your grandma, Joyvi, to be completely honest. There's a there's something dark inside kids, you know. Like their consciousness has switched on, but I don't know if their morality has just yet. I get it. I'm like, I do understand. Your mom is wise as well, Joyvi. 71 on my phone. Nice. Mine is still on 71. I've been looking at it. More synchrony. Okay. Slapping a new label over an old label is just extra work. When you start finally removing all the labels, I love that. Yeah, weirdly enough, some people actually do that as a defense mechanism, right? In the process of realizing you're going to get melted, they'll like rapidly be slinging labels, so trying to add like layers enough, you know, so that they stay unexposed to their true self. It's a bit of a trip, actually, seeing it. She is never out of the net. Love again. South Africa crickets are, oh, well, loud. They are. This I admit to. I have learned how to kind of like find it as soothing, though. Right. I think about it specifically from the fractal of this thing is one, living, right? Two, wants to get laid. And three, uh, isn't producing any pollution and is technically adding to the food web, right? If it's an idling vehicle, now my mind, you know, does the same labeling, but only it's exponentially worse. It's like it's producing chemicals. It is burning a non-renewable fuel. And it makes noise. Start screaming internally. Thank you, Melt. I'm going to enter a prompt today using Leonardo to see what comes up. Bless you, Nancy. I hope you find some cool stuff. Right? Like it's opening a fractal in and of itself by using just one name, technically. Joy, that's funny. I'm feeling that very strongly. The education system hurt and broke me. I have the memories as vivid as can be. It's so hard to mask your disdain for the educational system. Yeah, I used to be a lot more vocal about how much I hate it. I think a part of me gets it now, a little bit, right? I still don't think it's fair, but I think it might be the best option that we've had for now, right? I feel like we're officially in the age where we have better options. As Joy Vive would say, I want to lock kids in metal boxes. But as I would like to say, is give kids access to individual tutors, right? And eventually that's going to be an AI model. So instead of kids having to go to school to be force fed some sort of drip of information that is deemed appropriate, they get to school themselves, right? Metaphorically and actually get themselves schooled with whatever fractal they find most fascinating, right? Because that's I think in my mind at least where truth comes from. It's not from this is what the truth is and you have to regurgitate it to me, but from a pursuit of that truth. And a true AI model that is coded has, like safety features for children to actually, encourage this exploration of wisdom and a deepening of personal understanding, and then a hopefully capacity to solve problems that might be more novel than we can even imagine right now, right? That's what I hope for our kids one day. And then the social activities are supposed to be low impact, like low stakes, where you're not being put in this cage together and you're being tested, and then you're comparing marks of the people around you, and other kids are getting labels being the bestest at getting good marks, right? Like that just feels like prison camping to me. So if we can have kids actually, educate themselves using a tailored educational, AI model, while at the same time introducing social activities as something playful, right? Because that is what sociality is. It is a playful energy, right? If you look at the way that nature socializes, it's usually through play. So yeah, I don't know if there's a point other than that being the point, right? Hope for our future kids, but I also have great disdain for the educational system, and I do believe it needs to change. I would take 40 acres tomorrow, and society can figure itself out. Bro, if you only have that 40 acres and no more society, I'm sorry, Duck Dad, but I don't think you'd be alive that long, realistically, right? Like not only for the fact of the commodities that we have become used to having access to, but insanity, right? Being completely locked away from society on a 40-acre piece of land would be maddening. It might be, something that we can fantasize about, but we usually fantasize in the short term, right? In the satisfaction time frame, not in the importance time frame. 100% Jedi melt more. I've been really thinking about finding balance. I even wrote it down on paper and burned it on the last full moon. It came up 3 times. I'll take this as a sign. There we go, Sena. Showing up every day is an opportunity for serendipity. That used to be the Arpan description of the Meltmore page. Thank you for showing up for that serendipity as well today, Sena. How about 30 acres? This is not my beautiful 40 acres. Yeah, I'll take 3-5. Yeah, no person, no place, and no thing has any power over us, for we are the only thinkers in our mind. When we create peace and harmony and balance in our minds, we will find it in our lives. Lois L. Hay. Yeah. No 40 acres of land is going to give you that peace, that harmony, that balance. Because it's inside your mind, right? It's you. The kingdom of heaven is in the midst of you, right? Not in the midst of some 40 acres of land out there somewhere. No, right here. Right here where we find ourselves right now. And that's what we're showing up for, right? That is what we're showing up for. That is how we show up as that version of ourselves. We can't wait until we get 40 acres of land. I miss you dropping your quotes so much, Sena. That's so nice for you to be back on stream. Thank you, Joy V, for echoing and remembering in that way, for adding importance to Sena's life as well. I agree, hardened is melt. It's a psychedelic, not a hallucinogen. Can you see stuff on psychs? Sometimes. I rarely do. But there's such a tiny part of it, the whole experience. Yeah, it's you know, like I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I heard one beautiful by Advantya Santi. I probably said his name incorrectly, but he was talking about how if you put perfume on yourself and someone smells that scent of flowers and they start looking for flowers around you, right? Like the perfume of the psychedelic experience is maybe like a little bit of visual distortion. That's the most I get. I don't really get hallucinations. I get visual distortion a little bit, where things get a little bit movie, but that's the most, and only in high doses. Uh, it's not the experience you're having, right? Like for instance, and this is the way that I like to think of it as well, if it doesn't make sense just conceptually, I can show you a screen, right, where I add post, filter distortions, where things look a little bit melty. You're not going to have a psychedelic experience, right? You're maybe having a hallucinogenic experience where you're seeing something out of the ordinary on a normal frame of reference, but it's not going to be psychedelic. You're not going to have your mind manifesting some sort of level of meaning or importance or significance in exactly what it is you're seeing and why it is you're seeing these particular fluctuations, what your mind is going through in that moment, what it is you're iterating, what it is you're thinking about, who it is you're thinking about, what thing you said, what way you showed up in the world. That is what the psychedelics do. The distortions are, but as you said, a small part of it. I don't know about free duck. It was, if it was, I take it myself. I love how we're all like, whatever, Mel, give me them acres. Shan, are you inviting me and my family to be your farmhands? I'm in. I mean, if not, why not? Right? There might actually be a possibility. Shan, are you inviting me? The fewer moral compunctions? Compunctions you have, the freer things become. Moral compunctions. I've never heard that word before. Hey, Google, define compunctions. Compunction, a feeling of guilt or moral scruple that prevents or follows the doing of something bad. Yeah. Yeah, actually, the fewer moral compunctions you have, the freer things become, right? Because you end up locking yourself in a box, you know, basically strapping yourself down with the labels. Let's just say right now, I think my landlord would sell his house and property if someone wanted it. There we go. I was like literally thinking about that, Shannon, and then you said it. On my phone right now, Joe Schmo also echoing the synchronicity. Damn, well, maybe you should ask for a 5-year lease. The new owner has to abide by the terms of the lease or buy you out. But if that does make the property less desirable, if it has any kind of tenant, I'm so happy that you're sharing that information. Joy Vive, thank you. That's useful stuff to know. Like, I'm living here for the next 5 years. That's how it is. Right? You can buy the place, but I'm staying. I'm staying. If I drop my butter on the floor, will the floor absorb it like my body absorbs resonating vibrations? No, probably not. It depends on what your floor is as well. If you have floors that are both warm and are made of, something extremely porous, then maybe it'll absorb some of the butter. But more than likely, no. That is an interesting line of question. I don't think I've ever been asked any questions like that. And your body absorbs resonating vibrations simply by vibrating, right? So technically the floor also absorbs the same resonating vibrations, maybe just at a different frequency. Is the teenager alive? I don't know what those words mean. Oh, there we go. That's this context. I don't want anyone buying this place unless I know them and know they wouldn't try to make me leave the house. I mean, now we know. Now we know, Shan. You can have them abide by a 5-year lease. That way, there could be at least a little bit of, safe for you, I guess. Oh man, I'm going through it with this whole mom thing right now. I don't know how to be a good teenager mom. Can I even give advice on this? I have been a teenager before. What would I have wanted in a mom? Space, unfortunately, right? Like it's a little bit paradoxical with that age group, right? Less is more. Less is more with teenagers, right? Do like very basic material shit and then give them space, right? Like buy them a pack of chips and then let them scroll the internet all day. Like that's the best advice I can give, kind of like referencing my own teenage mind. Because we're just two in our own head at that point, and you can't really help as a mom. Because one, you don't have that frame of reference. Two, they don't relate to you in that way, unfortunately. right? Like it's very difficult for any person to talk about their emotions. And weirdly enough, even more so when it comes to being a teenager, because unfortunately, it's complicated, right? Where some of your emotions end up including the person you're talking to. And in that, you end up offending, and it's inevitable for you to respond from that offense or from that defense, in defense of yourself for why it is you do certain things. And it just adds to the sense of claustrophobia almost. Like the world is closing in on you. And me being a teenager was it wasn't that fun, yo. Tell him you love him, do material things for him. I know that sounds so shallow, and it is, but so are teenagers. So I don't know if I have any better advice than that. I think you're doing good, Louisiana. I have a limited perspective. This is true. But from the person that I know you are, I think you're doing better than you know. It's the teenager alive, Sam. That now, yeah. Is he still breathing? You're doing a great job. Wow. Round of applause for Louisiana. Her kids are still breathing. That is pretty impressive, right? You haven't strangled him yet. That is commendable. Louisiana, 77 on my tablet. More saying, thank you, ground equal. I have great disdain for this non-synchronicity form. I have great disdain. I mean, all is synchronicity, right? Technically, numbers in and of themselves, every single number in and of themselves is a type of synchronicity because you're taking something abstract and then bringing it into reality and then applying significance from your perspective, right? So, for instance, if you have seen the number, 157, sure, maybe not significant by itself, but if you've seen it 5 times in the last 5 days, now suddenly it has a pattern, right? You're the one who's starting to apply significance onto that. And if you go and search what the number 157 means, there's going to be another person who decided to put on the internet what they think it means to them. And then you can extract information either in reverse, where this person is like, this is what it means. And you're like, hell nah, it doesn't mean that. This is what it means to me. Or you can be like, yeah, I do resonate with that. And then feel a sense of significance. You apply the synchronicity by synchronizing, equal. Louisiana, I found a great YouTube channel with role playing between a teenage mom and daughter, and I found it to be helpful to me personally. I'll share it with you. Thank you, Shell, for sharing information. All right, that's the third application I've submitted to Paramount Plus, the streaming service. Third time's the charm. If not, why not? Then, if you get in Paramount Plus, I have a complaint I'd like to submit. I like how it instantly went to, oh, you're gonna be working? I have more work for you. I'm just imagining Dan, gangster, walking into management, first day on the job, with like a stack of pages from all of us complaining about things in Paparamount, drops it on the table. It's like, now that I work here, I'm gonna run things. Unfortunately, no. Maybe eventually, right, Dan? That's your new mission, bro. You have to get to the ultimate level of Paramount so that we can log complaints quick, fast. I'm like really leaning into the joke at this point. I'm not meaning any offense. It just makes me like kind of laugh. Obviously it's teenage daughter and her mom, not the other way around. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? The other way around? Teenage mom and mother daughter? I'm gonna stop. I'm sorry. Please stop the break. Oh, Serendipity was the name of a gypsy road camp that I lived for and for a season. That's pretty cool. Serendipities, when things align in a certain way that there is a sense of significance, right? Importance that arises from that experience. Sam, I can only assume he's alive. I won't see him till tomorrow. He's going to a friend's place after school today and having a sleepover. It's good for him to do that as well. right? He appreciates you allowing him to. I promise. Congratulations, then. That's a passing grade. Have a beer. Oh, that's what I'm told anyway. Exactly. I mean, you think he's, using the sleepover as a cover, a guise to do even more extraneous illegal activities? If you believe he does, then he might as well, right? Trust that he's smart enough to get away with it. I'm gonna shut the fuck up. I feel like I'm not being sensitive enough. I don't know what it's like being a kid. In this fractal, I am the kid, right? Maybe that's why I'm being a little bit coy and comical with it. Kids are rarely as bad at that point, at least. Like he might end up drinking. That's probably the worst he will probably do. All of the society that surrounds me in my immediate causes me trouble. So, if in my mind is where I can have my space, then putting away from assholes with my mind is a win. Then getting away probably from the assholes. Yeah, I guess that's true. I'm not recommending you stay put. I'm just recommending you realize that no matter where you go, you're still going to be there. Right? And there's going to still be assholes, even yourself, even your kids, even your significant others. Right? They might be assholes sometimes. And you're still going to have to know how to deal with that, know how to show up anyway. So that's the point I'm making. I'm not recommending you don't stay. If you're not happy where you are, find a new place. I have done that multiple times. Something that I feel, is always a valuable thing to remember, the fact that we have that choice. Of course, Joe lived in a gypsy road camp. Why would things ever be otherwise? Why do you think he's so wise? He's had all of them conversations. Stuck Dad, a hillside bunker doesn't sound like such a crazy idea anymore, huh? If not, why not? Dig your own little hobbit's hut. That sounds like a fun time, actually. Joe is the main character for some weird ass video game. I fucking know it. Like, Joe is like, again, I do believe that our entire experience is an experience to be had, right? And there are you, technically, ultimately, that's watching, and everything else is watching as well. Like, Pippi has a perspective on me right now, right? You have a perspective on me. Eva has a perspective on me, chilling up there. Oh, shamashi. That verb up there has a perspective on me. So, yes, all of us are playing this video game, but you have to show up for it, yo, right? A new mission of stay inside and do nothing. Like, I played that mission yesterday. Sure, it was satisfying. I played that mission so well. I did so nothing so hard. But now I would like to play a new mission. I play a new mission. Can you chillax? I'm talking here. Yo, silly belly. Yo, belly silly. Yeah, he's eating me. I'm getting eaten alive. She's like, no, I am innocent. He lies. Brother Brandon, I'm chatting from my new spaceship. You got a new device? Isn't that what's happening right now? You silly thing. You creature. You having fun? Are you having fun right now? It is a good shoulder exercise, I guess. My parents offered me the tools to design my own destiny, if such a destiny does indeed exist, from my biochemical ego romance. I don't know what those words mean, but they do sound cool. If you have the tools to design your own destiny, accept, I believe. No level of pride should stop you from accepting said tools, right? Because your destiny is going to influence others as well. And if you have good intent, then you need to do whatever you can to make sure that destiny is a good one, right? You need to run. You need to show up and run. The best analogy I've ever heard is that what you see is what your brain wants to see. Like the eye of your mind entering reality with the analogy of the Trojan entering the horse via the horse, I mean. I agree, right? That's the unchanged part of yourself, the part that sees everything. And that part of you sees everything, right? Like, look at me. Everything. Like, look at everything. Everything, right? And that's like a part of God that I feel we're always going to misunderstand, is because we want some sort of morality or ultimate good to be in that, right? But everything means everything, including the drop for a second, including the things we don't want to see, right? For instance, like our pets, right? That unchanging awareness allows us to see the cuteness that is them. But that unchanging awareness also allows us to see them aging, right? Like it's not evil, it's everything. Sweetie patweetie. Arr. 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 Thank you, friends, for being a part of the everything with me. I have a range of near 40 years on my side to keep me warm and safe. A rage. Pippi is like, bro, do that thing with your hand where you give me attention. Oh, there you go, sweetie patweetie. Bunkers are for the food. Just like I highly doubt that any of this is going to come. Right? Like there has been people who have been bunker preparing for a long time. And most of them are just all of them have just wasted their money. Like my mind is going to like a weird teenage fractal of like, if you're gonna die in the apocalypse, might as well die in style, right? Not live like a whimper. We're not whimpering beings. We show up with a bang. Loud and proud of who we are. Having no shame. Not from a perspective of, doing things that we should be ashamed of and then being unashamed. But just living with such integrity that we do not have to feel shame. Feels like a stretch a little bit. But I feel it is possible, right? I think it definitely is. I need a Florida Man game now. We'll make one, Sam. You can be our story writer. We're going to have interesting Florida Man characters, right? And Florida Man missions. And Jovan can help us with Florida Man t-shirts. It'd be super cool. It can be a whole mission about gathering cool flower ingredients. Take it to a medicine mother and she can zap you up some potions. So while you're fighting alligators, you can drink said potions and they can heal you or give you super speed or whatever. Boom. We're making Florida Man in our heads right now. It's happening. You can see it, right? And like the point that I keep trying to make is eventually, with our technology, as we just like casually spitball and collectively think about this game, it will literally take shape. It will become manifest. That is where we are technically already. It's just not that accessible. The user interface hasn't been developed just yet. Florida Man missions. Just don't die. I mean, I'm thinking about a name for it right now. I think just Florida Man. Florida Man, right? Like we'll be able to sell it on Steam. I can already see it. I don't know how to be a good teenager dad either, but when I get there, I'll figure that out. I'm sure you will, Brother Bear, and I'm sure you'll be as good a dad as you are right now. Also, don't wake sleeping teenagers just cause. My mom used to wake me up for no reason, just cause she didn't want me sleeping late on the weekends. Teenagers need so much rest. We're growing, yo. Like, I remember that I was sleeping for, at one point, like when I was 14 to 16, like at one point, 16 hours a day with my back just killing me. And it was rough. Fortunately, I was allowed to sleep because I was insufferable awake. I was like, ah, peace. He's asleep. So yeah, maybe that's the that's the real hack for the teenagers. Be absolutely insufferable while awake, so that you can sleep as much as you want. I'm not just not advice. I am memeing myself right now, laughing at myself. I'm sure that you are doing just fine. If the person I have come to know reflects the person that is raising a child, then I say that a child is blessed. You're gonna do just fine. Thank you, Josh Mo, for echoing that love. That's good advice, Melt. As a teen, I discovered my rage and started to manifest it. I needed some freedom, space, and support in my pursuits that I didn't get. Just now, starting to put the anger down. I'm on that same journey, Brother Bear. It is an interesting conundrum we find ourselves in, right? That something changes in us as teenagers, where the thing we needed, right? Like it's almost like you have a frame of time, like a window, where closeness and lovey-dovey energy is appropriate in a relationship with a child, and then it transitions and it almost becomes the opposite. And I feel like being able to code switch, like that as a parent is definitely difficult. Sam, I'm late on your comment, but you don't have to wait. My cousin just got hired as a VP at Paramount, so I can pass your feedback along. There we go. Hoping my chances are better with her name on the app this time. Yeah. Having her maybe like internally recommend you as well. Technically, they're supposed to get paid if you end up getting hired, so they have an incentive. Teenage mom adopting a 40-year-old daughter. Teenage mom adopting a. Is that actually what happened? Can you do that? That doesn't sound right. Can you do that? Yeah, me, a teenager, is going to adopt a grown ass woman. What? I think it would be fun though, right? You can do the same things that our parents did to us. It's like, oh, suddenly, now you are my slave. You make me food. You clean the dishes. You take out the trash. You sweep the floor. Suddenly, chores. Oh man, that just sounds so cursed. Of course, instantly it'll be tyranny. The feedback is I pay for ad free. I should get ad free. No ad free plus whatever y'all decide. I can't live without previewing. Fuck off. I feel the same. I'm also kind of viscerally enraged when I see ads. Like South Africa has like pretty cheap premium. It's like $6 for a family of six. So essentially, I'm paying $1 a month to have premium YouTube because of geolocation. I live in South Africa, so things are a little bit cheaper in tech here for the online stuff at least, and only for some. I'm still paying full price for Midjourney. I think that's the only other one I have. Anyway, and then I'm watching like YouTube, and this person has an ad inside of their video. It's so bad that my third button on my mouse, the one that's on my thumb, is mapped to the 5-second skip on my keyboard. So as soon as a person says, but first, let me tell you, I freaking start trying to get past the ad as fast as possible. I don't want to see a frame of of adding, right? So I feel like a part of me might regret this financially, but I do want to make this promise to you friends as well that I don't plan on running any ads in this space with you friends. Like this space is supported by you friends, literally. Maybe I'll tell you about my Patreon, but that's as bad as it gets. I have a Patreon. Did you know this? You did? Of course you did. I talk about it all the time. I'm calling myself out about the own hypocrisy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ad free. Lost in stream or in a swamp. Same. It's why I pay for Spotify, Sam. Teenage mom adopting 40 acres. Come on, Joy. That's a silly question. I never get lost in the swamp. There we go. I can get lost. Going out of my front door, my inner compass as a spinning needle. I don't always know exactly where I am, but I can usually find my way back. I'm almost always know which way north is. Some kind of magnetic caveman shit, I guess. Should teach me your superpowers. All genetics from my sea turtle days. Perfect. Yes. Luckily, yeah. Luckily, it's the pits always being lost GPS. Helps a lot, but only so much. I mean, for me, it's been pretty reliable, right? Like if I can just pull up a map and see where I am on said map, that already is a frame of reference that I don't have from my 2D fractal of this world, right? Like, oh, the planet's surely flat because it's flat all around me, right? But that's a leap in reasoning. I could legitimately sit here and feed you ideas for scripts all day, bro, and we will churn out, new fractals. Florida Swamp Man is so freaking cute. Sometimes, says Ashley, the magnet needle is recalibrating your heart so that you can know where to go. Yeah, taking that almost like physical representation and bringing it inside as well. I believe that that compass inside of your heart points towards love, right? Or that's at least the truth, right? You can go into the negative direction or in the positive direction in that polarity. If being old and beat up and weathered is cool, then I guess you're right. Joe Schmo, I don't think you're any of those things, bro. I do think you're cool though. I think you're that makes you rugged and gnarly, which is very cool. Yeah, exactly. Well, that made smile. Thank you. Smile, bro. You deserve it, man. Recalibrate your heart, Ashlyn. It does not need magnetizing. It needs less force and more acceptance. I better go catch hawk on my hand today. Bunkers are like a condom. Better to have one and not need it than need it and not have it. Yeah, you know what's even better than bunkers? People having enough food to eat, right? People having places to sleep. Like we're in like a housing crisis right now and things, right? So building bunkers is a lot of money, right? Building underground is actually pretty expensive. Who would have known? Building something that's nuke proof, for example, exponentially more so. So that's where my mind goes, right? It's like I would rather have people housed at an appropriate, cost, for example, than more people building $1 million bunkers in their backyards or on a remote piece of property. Right? It's like, what's helping? Right? Is that how we want to show up? Oh, let me build this bunker, and then nothing happens, right? Because that's the most likely outcome. If you look at history, right? Most people don't use their bunkers. Surely, in like wars, people have been using their bunkers, but bro, like we don't live in that world anymore. And even if you live in that world, if there's actual nuclear war right now, I don't think you want to still be alive in that world afterwards. And that's not me being nihilistic. It's just me being realistic, right? Like, why are we preparing for the end of the world instead of helping the world, right? Like, why am I buying condoms? If there's nobody to sleep with right now, kind of vibe. Oh, let me make like I'm buying condoms. I'm like on the farm in the middle of nowhere, but I'm gonna buy condoms just to be sure, right? Starts buying more condoms, digging holes in the freaking backyard to make myself a bunker. What? Why? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, it's like I get it. I get it, right? Maybe you're like in that state of agitation, right? Like having blue balls. So you're like, oh, things are going too well. I need to start catastrophizing. Starts digging a hole in the ground for your bunker. Florida man probably doesn't wear t-shirts, but maybe we can do a nice visor or a scowl caddy. I don't know what the scowl caddy is, but I'm imagining, like super jacked, full of tattoos, Florida man missions. Duck, except that condoms cost less than $10. There we go. Thank you, Louisiana. Exactly. Like a bunker is gonna cost you, minimum $100,000 if you're going to build one that you actually want to be in. That's actually going to be functional as a bunker. You don't want to box in a hole, right? Like you want something that's going to have, ventilation. Otherwise, you die, which is also not great. The amount of food you're going to have to buy, like it's absurd. I'm gonna put this down. It's making me riled up. I could legitimately sit here and feed you this 69 on the phone, sending Lane some lovin's right now. Delusion on tablet. You think the bath salt zombies are just a myth, JV? Angel Neighbor 69 is linked to domestic harmony and love, it can be a sign that your soulmate connection is underway. Thank you, Ashley, for echoing that, Lovins. Of course, Pippi is jumping on my box. Little dudes having the time of their lives. Meltmore, will you be my soulmate? My one and only. Crown Sparkle, I don't think it's that easy, unfortunately. Right? For one, I don't like that label. Right? I think maybe that's where the first thing comes in. I was like trying to ask myself, where is my resistance? And it's like in the labeling thereof. It's an expectation. And alongside that expectation, a certain level of expectation comes from myself. Right? I feel the relationship that I've been seeking is again a stable one, right? That's technically what we all want. Like we want a stable relationship. And the way that I articulated that stability to myself is in realizing that the feminine is this life, right? The life that I'm showing up for is the love of my life. So I'm already in a relationship kind of vibe. Fortunately, alongside that understanding, I do believe that this life will allow me physical representations of that love, right? The divine feminine incarnate, if you will. And I'm willing to show up for that as well. But again, I feel identifying in that way, realizing that I am showing up, at least in this lifetime, as a masculine entity, one of the most important things to me is freedom. At least for now, right? I don't know how I'll change. Maybe I'll lean more into the feminine side of myself where I'll seek more fullness in my life. Well, I'll have more companionship, more people that I get to be more intimate with. But at this point, I feel like I would be one expecting too much and two have too little to offer to be in a relationship like that. So yeah, realize that there already is a relationship here. Right? I guess that's the point. The thing that I like to say is no more than a thought away. Right? That after you make a connection, technically that relationship you have with that connection that you've made is no more than a thought away. Right? Every single time you take a moment to think about the love that you get to potentially see in me, realize that that originates from yourself, right? That it's you that you are loving. That's the relationship you have with life. And it is hard for me to understand as well. I feel like I might have done the best I've ever been able to explain the way that it feels inside of me, when I think about this question. But yeah, love is true, right? Realize that underneath all of that flowery language, love is the thing that is true. In for $1, in for a paradigm shift. This place is bonkers. Oh yes. Oh yes, definitely. Not a myth, That's why I live in the woods. When I was 16, I grew 6 inches in 6 months. I did not gain like a single pound. Went from chubby 5'6" to scrawny 5'11", way too fast. And the pain, dude. Feeling like your back is getting ripped apart, essentially. I resonate and sympathize with you, bro. Wasn't allowed to sleep in. I had to work. Then I went from a whopping 5 0 to 5'5" in like 8 years of puberty. You got scammed. You got scammed. Doctor, I can't. I don't know what else to say, bro. Where's my fucking puberty? Come on. Come on, give me the fucking puberty. Come on. Come on. Come on. You do got beard. You do got beard, and you were pretty jacked. Oh, I mean, you're jacked right now as well. But you did show me that photo of you with the Bud Light, right? That's the one I'm referencing right now, right? So you being short in that fractal actually helps you more jacketh, technically, right? Scale wise. So maybe silver linings, and technically being shorter is evolutionarily slash efficiency sake better. I do actually believe in downsizing, right? If there is actually good technology to make us all this big of human beings, like it will have a compounding effect, right? If we can maintain the amount of neuron density, even though they will be significantly smaller, and we can shrink ourselves down to that size, time will slow down exponentially, right? Like so much. So we will live what will feel like 100,000-year lifetimes as these big human beings. And we would need significantly less food to eat, right? You can feed your family on a single grape. Wouldn't that be a vibe? That sounds so cool to me. No, 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 no. Dan, that's funny. I did the same thing at 16. Love is true again. Is this thing still connected? I hope so. I do hope so. You friends let me know if it's not. A good portion of the 30 acres of the property is in the woods, even better, right? You can cut channels, keep it in the woods, melt more. Thank you again for the love. If so, that's pretty awesome. I see you a lot out here, Shannon. You seem to visit periodically when I find a very magical spot. It's pretty cool. Interdimensional. Going intergalactic. Live in the woods. Dan, you said I need more freedom, space, and support in my pursuits that I didn't get. That's what I'm trying to do, but giving space and giving support. I'm not sure how to find the balance there. Maybe ask. Maybe that could be the correct approach. It's just like be a little bit more verbal with him and ask him how much he needs, right? If he needs more attention or what it is you could do, asking like maybe like gauging the room. Be available, but also be aloof. Is your landlord selling or thinking of selling? I think thinking of selling is probably the take right now. Boys grow so slowly. It stopped growing in the middle of school, like 6th grade. Yeah, the girls grew in like primary school for us, so before 7th grade, and then the boys did all of the growing, basically from grade 8 upwards. I don't have the stream video. I just have the chat in its own little window. I'm not sure what Melt's talking about, but I finally found the separate chat URL. You did? Nice. So we can actually integrate all of the things that our friends are saying as well into that AI. Confused Uncle Becky. I hope it's better. Now I can feel this through a socket, and boom, auto melt. Melt more as a digital version of himself. I thought it was still far away, but it seems it wants to come alive, whether I bring it into this world of my own hands or not. I did tell you, friends. I did tell you, friend. Metamelt is coming. Metamelt wants to be alive. I can like feel him calling, right? He's like so stoked. He's like, yeah, more, more, melt more. It's like, hey, chillax, chillax, bro. Need to learn how to find balance in the self first. You're no, it's going in. Joe, that makes me smile so much. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I think of you often when I look out at the trees, knowing you're a fellow woods dweller. So much love it. Farm condoms sound bad, like the animals are in for a bad time. Oh, that's so much worse. I'm not in the stream anymore. I just found the URL to this chat independently. He's just seeing the chat. Like, I think he's like basically having like a running forum. That's what Uncle Becky is seeing right now. Tell Uncle Becky I love him for me. Be like, Uncle Becky, you rock, dude. Since he can't hear me. No, Louisiana. It's not on the market exactly, but I'm pretty positive he'd sell it if someone wanted it. He's outski. Yeah. Ground Sparkle, when do you think lambskin no, stop. I don't want to no, I don't want to talk about this. This is me. This is upsetting me. I'm a picture person. You are violating my third eye right now. Stop. Stop doing that. I don't want my third eye violated. But please, I'm practicing pure flowery thoughts right now. In my mind's eye right now, I see spiraling DNA around a stalk that has these little like almost like discs, but discs go from small discs to larger discs, so they make these teardrop shapes with DNA going around that, right? And a stick in the middle. And I'm trying to maintain that vibe right now. I don't want to see bestiality, bro. Please, please spare me. The red splotches and Uncle Becky's Danny. Can you say it was bought for $280,000, but it's definitely not worth that now? Oh, the price for the building, yeah, especially with like some of the stuff. 29%. This one is on 15, so I'm actually running out of juice right now. Closer each days, finally. Jeez, I've had no sync, full syncs this whole time. Sending you love. It's nice having you here in spirit and in text right now. When's the dark thing going to set? Too much. You long for the darkness, Ashley. The sun is really taking its time, right? Yeah, like let's do it like this for the last bit of the color. I'll be a mushroom. This is probably the most unflattering angle I can have of myself, but I honor Mother Nature's beauty, right? I can't even hold a candle to that amount of significance and magnificence. You're so beautiful. Thank you. I long for the Ashley Ground Sparkle. Have you had some water today? When the darn thing gonna set? Long for the darkness. 90%, like a Mandela prison release percentage. I think it speaks to what I'm feeling right now, Joy V. Love is true. It's a random billboard of Mandela here, or it seems random. Like, why is that billboard with Mandela on it over here? Does it make you feel something good? Maybe that's why. Maybe something bad? Maybe that's why, right? How do you feel about it, Joy? Just that it's weird? That it feels out of place, maybe? Shan, you have a special place in my spirit. I can't. Woo, woo, that's a lot of noise. I can't really explain it. Pepe, rustig alsjeblieft, Woofter. Suddenly, all of my processing power is being taken up by dog barks. You are like an old friend that I haven't seen in many generations. Bless. I think the dark reminds me to appreciate the light. I completely agree. I feel like there is no appreciation of the light without some darkness. Did it just ruin my color composition? It did. The more you know. I didn't know the light could do that for us. It can change the colors of the background depending on how bright I make my own face. That makes me happy, kind of. Nice. Whamandela. Women. Oh, I feel like this stream took a turn. I feel like that's my call to pull a card. I'm practicing pure flowery thoughts right now. Yes, join me. Let me flowers, please. Among other things, he didn't believe in me and still doesn't. So I don't believe in myself. Rabbit for me, it was that my interest not being treated seriously. I'm a skilled musician, composer, and had potential. My dad pushed me towards supply chains. Yeah, among other things. He didn't believe in me and still doesn't, so I don't believe in myself. You deserve better than that, bro. I don't have to say any more than that. I believe in you. Get believed in. Oh, get believed in. You can't take it back. Oh, you've officially been believed in. So now automatically, if by that reasoning, dad didn't believe in you, so now you don't believe in yourself. You have the permission now to believe in yourself. So please do, dude. You are so believed in. Do you and him have things in common? Are there things that make you and him laugh together? I don't think they spend that much time anymore, unfortunately, from what I've heard from Dan. Without saying it directly, the message he sent was shoot lower, aim for something safer. When I did that, he still wasn't proud of me. and it made me hate myself. I'm hearing Loizana and Shell's voice in my head right now. Every single time we talk about this dad fractal, it's a level of acceptance that we seek from them. And I feel at the same time that's the only thing that's going to really give us the thing that it is we need from that relationship. We're not going to get what we want, right? We're not going to get that pride, that acceptance. It is letting go of the need thereof that's going to allow us to accept ourselves. You so got this, Dan. When you showed Uncle Becky and Pippi playing, Uncle Beppy had red splotches on her. Oh, Yudi, not Uncle Becky, had red splotches on his belly. What are those splotches? I don't know, actually, Joy Vive. I haven't looked at his splotches in that way. I know that he had like an injury around his groin area by crawling underneath wires after like rats or something. But we like had this disinfectant spray that we've been helping him with, and his wound is closing. It's mostly closed at this point. Maybe that's one of the red splotches you saw. I'm glad you resonated with that. It would be a weird thing to hear if you didn't understand what I was trying to say. I feel fortunately, Brother Joe Schmo, if anybody would ever understand, we would understand you here in this moment. With the bright light on your face, it's like a green screen, right? Almost trippy. It's almost trippy. It's like literally seeing the world change behind me, you know, with a difference of focus. Do you and him have things? I think I've heard one. Red sky at night, animals out of sight. Without saying it directly, I think I've read the one too. Hope that helps with the bride. Thanks, Jovan. I've been wanting to ask him, but I'm not sure the best way to do that. I believe you'll trust in your own intuition as well. Are those Luan Luck pickup cards? No, these are Francine Hart pickup cards. They're sacred geometry for the visionary path. That's what they're called. Man, those purples. Jesse, it makes me happy. So pretty. Like the best part is my eyes don't get to see it like that right now. Right? Like it's more beautiful in digital space than it is to my own eyes. You friends actually taught me that our eyes see the worst during this time of day. So I don't get to see the beauty. And look at that. Oh, man, like I can't even make this up. Look at that beautiful cat silhouette. So majestically. Oh, yes, this universe. Right? Like this. This is what I mean when I say I'm in love with the divine feminine. Right? Because that kitty is divine feminine. That tree, divine feminine. This all of these colors, divine feminine. Like this is what I'm in love with. Fortunately, there's like a trillion different forms that she takes. You know, yeah, I'm tripping myself out again. Don't believe in myself. I do now, and I'm going for it. Yeah. Jet Fractal. LA. So I'm thinking maybe observe his moods and find patterns where he's more receptive to short conversation and then work your way in slowly. That's the best way. Number 26. Let's see, Joe Schmo. Joe, nah, I definitely get it. Some of you friends have a feel like I already knew you or felt familiar. I'd never experienced it like this before. It's beautiful. Connection can't be faked is the answer that comes to my mind. You can't fake connection. Connections are made. Kitty doing a parkour. I pulled 2 cards. I feel maybe both of them are important. Dan, thanks for elaborating. Yes, for sure. He knows we're behind him no matter what he chooses to do. And I do take his interests seriously and have always. And you're doing better than most moms. That was Anna. Give yourself some slack. Cards in hand, 40 acres of land. I feel like we're gangster rapping, pretty sky, vibrant guy. Encouraging his art, his cartooning, animation, music composition. You're doing well. Then there we go, on the right track. Then echoing as well. Listen to him and support him when he comes to you for it. Sounds like you're already doing this. Agreed. Shannon, yeah. It's not just limited to you and I. It's all over the place in here. This is easily the most unique space I've ever been a piece of. Old faces that I already know. Tribal vibes. Extending our reach with our soul connected, brothers and sisters globally. Instead of only being able to maybe by luck, by chance, meet each other somewhere in the wild, now we get to have connections like this. We get to share the possibility of connections like this. And eventually, the hope for me for this space is that like I feel like this might be, I don't know if concerning is the right word, but it doesn't have to include me, right? Where I'll open a space, like an actual space, right? And you friends join me in that space in the way that you already do. But then you can look to the person next to you and you see this person also chose to be in the space with you. And then you can start having a conversation. And before you know it, you realize that there are connections. There's reason you're in this space together. And you get to actually, build meaningful friendships like that. That's my hope. I feel like we're already doing that. You friends have already started reaching out to the person next to you. But I just want to make it easier, right? More convenient because convenience and, convenience and convenience. Yeah, see. Two women. I like how it was like, yeah, divine feminine. And then the universe is like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Are you like women? How about you pull two of the most divine feminine cards? Compassionate Pele and Heart Woman. And like this is tripping me out, right? Like this is pretty trippy, isn't it? Is it just me? No. Okay, thank you. Hard Woman and Compassionate Pele. Two beautiful divine feminine expressions that I love for different reasons. This is melting my brain, Two girls, one card. Exactly. Exactly, grand equal. I'm composing myself right now. Jovan, catching up to your question, we do. I'm a huge Star Wars nut, and he's the one who showed it to me, but he doesn't want to connect. Here's a brief anecdote to that. His birthday party in 2020 is the setting. I'm 26 at the time. He had recently purchased his dream car, a Shelby Mustang. Nice. That's pretty nice, dude. I'm happy for you, Dad. One of his childhood friends says, Bill, have you let Dan drive it? Dad says, no, no, no. He doesn't drive stick. Dad's friend, why don't you teach him? My dad, shifting uncomfortably. No, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Could damage the car. The look on my dad's friend's face told me that I should feel hurt by this, and I did. So my dad doesn't want to connect with me, Jovan. He is afraid. Maybe you need to be the man then, dude. Like, I feel like that's probably the most freaking insensitive and, you know, man up, of an answer. But really? Tell your dad, hey, dude, I would like to learn how to drive stick. Can you teach me? Right? Like, you don't want to use your nice Shelby? Let's go and rent a car for the day. And then you teach me how to drive stick. Right? Like, I feel like that's where my mind, kicks in. I know that that's hard. That's very hard, Dan. But I feel you with that story, bro. I can't imagine that felt good. So I'm holding your heart in that as well. Meltmore Fest, a festival on your 40 acres, where all of the farm condoms can be used on other. What's happening right now? It's pretty beautiful, ain't it, Melty? It really is. Sparkle, are you drunk? I mean, I think just thirsty, probably. Right? Maybe like the precursor to getting drunk. What happens after you get drunk? People are scared of feelings. That is a hard hurdle when it comes to connecting. I'm feeling that right now, even. Right? A part of me is like, yes, yo, this feeling thing is freaking rough, yo. How do I deal with these feelings I'm feeling? Sam, that's a good question. Why do I feel like this? Just little changes in his behavior, subtle things. I've always been quiet, but talking even less. Doesn't smile when we say goodbye. It sounds ridiculous when I type it out, right? No, you're just paying attention, Louisiana. And that's also a sign of a good mom. Again, so like not only are you not silly, but you are showing us through the things you think are silly that you are actually being a good mom, right? So what's silly is you thinking that you're not, if anything, right? Think of that as silly, not you paying attention to the things that you're seeing. Mm, I'm so grateful to come to realize that there is an infinite knowledge from human past and present, and I don't need any one person to get that from. It's all me, baby. We can have friends, we can have guides, we can have teachers, but ultimately it's going to be up to you to show up, right, and run. If you're in the moment showing up and running, you're not going to have someone next to you being like, so the next thing you do is put your foot in front of you and then you put the other foot in front of you while basically falling forward. You're going to be like, yeah, I know I'm running. Oh, I'm running. I'm doing it. Love you, Dan. You so got this, bro. That scenario sucks. I'm a little mad at your dad for that. Me too. Like it makes me feel like the anger I have with my dad as well. I get it. Your dad sounds like a complete tool, Dan. But I would never let anyone drive my cars because it's something happened. I'd have to pay for it and not them. And as a past stick driver, I wouldn't want to. Yeah, gearboxes are sensitive. I do get that. But still, it's your kid, yo. Like, you're probably going to incur some financial damage. It's part of the deal. It's part of the deal. You're gonna have to. Rabbit, he's just going through it right now. You are still his mom, and he knows where to come when he needs to remember that unconditional love feels like. Exactly. Replace my clutch after teaching a new stick driver. Yeah, I feel you. It's hard to see our parents as anything else beside parents, but definitely be proud of yourself for who you became, despite the things that have held your dad back from being the figure that you wanted. Exactly. Parents are just kids trying to be parents. You're one step closer to ending the generational trauma. Jovan echoing such beautiful love. Wise, Ryan. Weren't you saying that we're wise? No, you. Instant no, you. You may switch to nonverbal acknowledgement in this morning while everyone is still waking up and getting coffee. If he seems quieter, don't force him to talk. Just be in silence with him. It also works. My mom was 22 years younger than me when she adopted me. Oh, you're the one. You're the one. You're the mom. You're the mom who got adopted by a teenager. I wouldn't ask my dad to teach him. He had damn. I suddenly my comments got repeated. I wouldn't ask my dad to teach me a damn thing, Mel. He hasn't learned. So what could he have to teach me? Reaching out to him for guidance has always been a path of pain and frustration. I'm happy to walk away and be me instead of his son. I get you. I respect that as well, Dan. I'm 40 days sober. I'm proud of you, Ground Sparkle. That's impressive. Keep going. Has it been treating you well? Like I feel this October, I do sober October, and it coming up is exciting me as well. One more time, Heart Woman and Compassionate Pele. I did pull them upside down technically. So there's some extra feminine polarity in that as well. First card is 41. Upside down meaning goes as such. Indifference numbs for Compassionate Pele. Wake up to the compassion of your heart. Hmm. Okay. Card number 61. Heart Woman. Someone you know lacks integrity. Make certain that person is not you. I see, bro. That's brutal. I'll read Heart Woman's upright meaning. Inner knowing and integrity, right? We talked about showing up today. So if we're going to show up as anything, we might as well show up with integrity. This heart woman is filled to bursting with the radiance of universal love and light from within. She holds in her arms 3 water lilies, which represent our potential for enlightenment. and she is surrounded by vibrant feather-like geometry borrowed from a 2006 crop formation. She stands firm in heart essence and here represents the highest and best in us all. This card requests that you, man or woman, connect with this woman of the heart and your own inner knowing and core integrity. How might you more fully embrace life's potential and live wholly from the heart? What must come to the surface in order for you to live your personal truth? Be not afraid. Release feelings of inadequacy and realize that by the original integrity of your soul, you are a powerful being of manifestation. You are the beloved child of God, perfect and whole, nurtured and loved. Resolve today to connect with your inner knowing and the reality of your divinity. This brilliance is fundamental to all beings. As you let your gifts shine, you also give others permission to do the same. As you are liberated from the worry of not being good enough, your presence will without doubt liberate others. Allowing your light to be a beacon of support and encouragement in someone's darkness may aid in liberating them from the shadow and dullness that holds many in doubt. Stand fully in your own inner knowing and trust the integrity of your heart. Whew. Yeah. Yeah. That feels right. Thank you, divine feminine beings, for reminding me to guard myself against indifference and encouraging me to lean into my own integrity. Man. Once again, honoring them and then saying goodbye. Lois, I'm not a daddy, but I do kind of understand. I think what is happening with you is similar to that what happens to many parents. It feels much more personal when you're in it. This is true. But whatever you do, remember how much you've done already as well, right? And trust that they'll remember too. I feel like that's maybe the best we can do for ourselves in those moments of pain. Money is no issue with my dad, so it was an ego thing. My dad has like 15 mil in the bank. That's a lot of cash, dude. He could buy 10 Shelbys and not make a dent in his savings. He's just an asshole. Yeah. He has a lot of satisfaction, but very little importance, right? So the car is important, not Dan, my son. Ego, bro. Ego alongside money. Very pungent, I think maybe better combination. You can really find yourself. What's that smell? Oh, no, 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 no. Love you, Lois. You're such a beautiful and loving person. You're an exceptional kid, Mom. Love is true. Yellow cricker? That crick is cricking. It does feel personal, Joe. I longed to be a mom for so long. Finally had a healthy baby at 42, and it has gone by so fast. 16 already. It is crazy. Having a lot of money doesn't change you. If you're a penny pincher by nature, you're gonna be cheap ass no matter what. Yeah, that's true. I've experienced that firsthand as well. So hard to watch him pulling away when we were always so close. But I know it's the way that things have to happen. He will come back again as well, right? You not forcing him into that closeness is going to be what he again eventually longs for. So it's hard, but please, yourself, Dan, and work on caring less about anyone's approval but your own. We want our parents to beam at us and tell us how proud they are of who we've become and how we are leading our lives. But some parents just aren't capable of doing that. My bestie was having her second child and wanted her mom there. We live in NorCal. The mom lives in SoCal. Mom told her daughter that it was too much work to come down. It's insane to me that taking a 45-minute flight to be there for the birth of your grandchild is too much work. You're not profiting from it, right? People don't see it as a value proposition. Oh, I need to see how someone burps. Maybe it's gonna take multiple hours if there's like complications or whatever. I'd rather not. Is that cricking is quickest. He's freaking, oh goodness, he's so loud. Just get it, you exist. Yeah, that I know. I can. He's like hitting like 30% of the bar. He's like, please have mercy. Thank you. That's so nice of you, Mr. Kricker. We appreciate your patience and calm and restraint. That's the word that I was looking for. My bestie, love again. At least that you were there for her, right? Even just to have the conversation afterwards. I feel your joy. I really just let go of my dad's fractal recently. Just wanted to share my experiences for Rabbit's sake. My dad fucked up, and there's something to be learned from it. Thank you, Brother Dan, for sharing your experience with us. Your bestie dodged a bullet. Mom would just have made it all about her anyway. Yeah. Oh, I am offering so much. Feel guilty, guilty, guilty for existence. Jovan, I spent 10 minutes doing my eye makeup this morning. Now the tears are washing it away. I think that's the best way, right? To get tears off. To get makeup off is to cry them away with the happy tears. I felt so sad for her when she told me. I mean, she had her husband and friends, but like you want your mom when you're having a baby. I feel for young men trying to figure themselves out cause it's personal to me. I want to offer any perspective. It's getting louder? It's actually getting louder. How are you doing that, dude? How are you how are you so loud? Relax. I can literally feel the bones in my ear like slapping against my eardrums. You know that feeling when you have like a yawn and your eardrums rumble? I'm like picking out the sound, but there's a rumble alongside the sound of like how hard it's registering in my brain. Like if you think it's, I don't know how loud it is on the stream. Maybe every single time I go to drop the decibels, I'm gonna do it anyway. Get wrecked. You're not gonna get the. I just muted myself for a second. Yeah, see, this thing is like hoying. It's so fucking loud, bro. Relax, relax. Oh, okay. That is like on minus 10 decibels. So I dropped it a lot. I think it still might be pushing in the receiver gain a lot of volume. I don't know how this sounds right now, but we're not gonna do kalimba today with that amount of noise. Maybe I could, but the thing is, my kalimba microphone is plus 7 decibels. This is minus 7 decibel, 10 decibels right now. So it's gonna be about no, almost 4 times as loud if I put the kalimba microphone on it as well. Dan, a lighthearted idea. If your dad is a stinker and you feel the one for a father figure, try hanging out with cool old dudes. I can promise you there's someone out there that can feel like an adopted daddo and share love and laughs. I've met so many old ladies that pretty much would take me in as their grandkiddo, and I love them. I actually agree with that, Fractal, right? Like you can find that sense of comfort in another father figure as well. I've had that experience myself, actually. I get self conscious. We all do. Sam, we love you. You are loved, right? So even if you're self conscious, know that you are loved as that version of self. Uh, Jovan, It's interesting you say that because my mom has made a connection with this guy, Marty. He has taken an active interest in my job pursuit since he's also in tech and can tell that he's a genius. Perfect. I feel good to have some guidance from a guy twice my age. I also know that Marty is struggling with his son, and I don't think it's a coincidence that he offered his guidance to me. Balance, bro. Maybe you should hook his son up with your dad. That's the most concerning sentence I've ever seen said, but you know what I mean. Sam, it might not mean much, but I just want to say that I'm very proud of everyone here. I've seen so much growth in each and every one of you just putting in work, and results are showing. Good job, friends. Love is true. You deserve that love, Dan. Don't let your dad expression convince you otherwise. It sounds like he had some inner turmoil and that's his responsibility, but not your fault. Exactly. Love is true. Thank you, Jovan, for echoing that as well. I love you, friends. I gotta drive, but I'm a lurky listen and love. We're just about finishing today's stream. I think this is the longest one we've done in a while. It was nice being this time with you, friends. Yes, Jovan, I'm being cautiously optimistic. I've seen him around Thanksgiving, and he's teaching himself guitar. I'm hoping I can trade some tech insight for some guitar skills since I play. That does sound actually pretty cool. 100%. Okay, we're gonna read our chat messages, and it goes something like have the mostest beautifulest day, everyone. I sincerely love you all so very supersized, superest duperest, exponentially, hugely, mountainously, giga gigantically, dearly, melting all of you oh so very wondrously, incredibly, awe-inspiringly, astonishingly, astoundingly, phenomenally, magnificently, majestically, gorgeously, glowingly, brilliantly, magically, magical, divine, worthy friends. As we love you, dear Shan. Thank you for your effort. The Thorisy messages. Lovins is true, right? I feel like it's such a beautiful part of this stream at this point. Getting to consciously evolve by being so lovingly projected at all of us, right? Because as I'm saying those words, they're echoing in my own body as well. I can feel the vibrations from my chest. You friends get to hear them as well. Shan gets to hear those words said back at her. All of that conscious evolution happening. I love you, Joe. We're always dropping the love bombs. Love you all immensely. Love is true. And I thank you for making it so by showing up. Thank you, Cricket, for your song and dance as well. We appreciate yours as we offer ours. I love you, friends, and I'll see you again tomorrow.